Good morning, Unity. Good to see you all. Love is my creator, and love is my sustainer. Love is where I'm going, and love is where I'm from. Love is my creator, and love is my sustainer. Love is where I'm going, and love is where I'm from. I shout it out, hallelujah, shout it out, hallelujah. Love is where I'm from. I shout it out, hallelujah, shout it out, hallelujah. Love is where I'm from. Love is my devotion, and love sets life in motion. Love is what I'm knowing, and love is what I am. Love is my devotion, and love sets life in motion. Love is what I'm knowing, and love is what I am. I shout it out, hallelujah, shout it out, hallelujah. Love is what I am. I shout it out, hallelujah, shout it out, hallelujah. Love is what I shout it out, I shout it out, hallelujah, shout it out, hallelujah. Love is what I am. Last time I shouted out, hallelujah, shout it out, hallelujah. Love is what I am. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you. Wow. Welcome this morning to Unity Spiritual Center of Portland as we gather in this idea. I wonder how many of us have been saying love is what I am this week. That would be an interesting one. It's been, at least for me now, I haven't been here in 3 weeks. I have had quite a journey, and my family is doing well, thank you. COVID was an experience for all three of us as we have said, thank you, God, that is over and that love and life is truly who we are. And what a journey we're on. I want to share with you a couple things as we gather back in. I don't know about you, but every day I've said, who am I in the midst of what's happening here? Who am I, and how do I find the largeness, the absolute largeness to hold a space for something I may not yet be seeing? Otto Scharmer said, for us to presence the future that desires to be born, we must have an open mind, an open heart, and an open will. And let me tell you, getting those open sometimes is the spiritual journey every one of us is on. Valerie Kaur, who wrote the book See No Stranger, which is phenomenal, said, honor your rage. Where is the rage in your body? Place your hand there. Breathe. Where does it want to go? Today is the day to feel it and move it, talk it, scream it, wail it, sing it. Together, we are going to alchemize this rage into a force the world has not yet seen. And I say into the power of an unconditional love and presence that moves us forward. Every day, every one of us has the ability to open to a larger story than we may be experiencing right now. Unity as a tradition stands for the divinity, the wholeness of every being, everywhere. There are no people left out of humanity. That is truly what we know and who we are, and the invitation for us to open to that, even when the appearance looks so different. Mahatma Gandhi said, When I despair, I remember that all through history, the way of truth and love have always won. There have been tyrants and murderers, and for a time they can seem invincible, but in the end, they always fall. Think of it, always. Humanity is inviting us to rise. And so as we gather this morning, and I'm Reverend Lisa Davis, I'm so grateful to be a part of this. In just a moment, we're going to open in prayer. But I'm just inviting you to allow an opening to happen. We don't always control what's going on. I went back to John Lewis the last few days and just, first of all, sat there with this and remembered what courage looks like. And then as I started reading, and he said, you know, freedom is not a state. You don't get there someday and you've arrived. It's an act. And it's an act that every one of us chooses every day. And now we're being called again to choose freedom even when it doesn't feel like it's there in our hands. And he said the courage to walk across the bridges that scare us is the courage that's in our souls if we allow it out. And so if you've had a place this week where you've wondered, who am I? How can this happen? How can this happen? How can this happen? This isn't right. I just invite you to allow all of it to move through the breath, through an open heart, an open mind, and an open will. Let's begin this service in prayer. Mother, Father God, infinite Spirit, we open. We open to an understanding of a desire, this desire for Spirit to move through each of us, for the light that is within every being to shine, to allow a larger vision and a deeper understanding of this awakening, of this invitation to evolve that is within our hearts. And we let go and let the courage of our souls press forward. We express in our acts this day the freedom of spirit to speak our truth, to live our truth, to stand in the highest truth we know, inviting the scales to fall away from our eyes. Where I have lived in the dark, Spirit, awaken me, remind me of the truth of who I am, the truth of humanity, and how we may allow this story to be birthed this day. For every being around the planet that is in pain, that is hurting, that is experiencing loss and a lack of freedom and dignity, we hold that space and move into the knowing that every being is created with a radical wholeness as the blessing of humanity. Every being, every light. And that the invitation this day is for that light to shine. And we simply say, here we are, Infinite Spirit, move through us. Remind us of the truth of who we are and the truth of every being everywhere as we walk each other home in love, in peace. And so it is. Amen. And so I just welcome all of you this morning. Beth is going to come up and share some of just the delightful things that are happening in our community.
Good morning. Welcome, welcome. It's so good to see all of you here this morning. I first want to introduce our prayer chaplains who are here in the front row. Carol, Lynn, and Sherry. They're holding the high watch for the ministry and for each one of you. If you have a prayer need this morning or just need a little lift, you're welcome to join them for in-person prayer. You can also fill out a prayer request slip, which are in the backs of the chairs. Those can be placed in our prayer box here, and they will hold those for 30 days and then send them on to Silent Unity. We also have a dial a prayer. There's some little business cards out there at the welcome table with the number on it, and you can call that during the week if you need a lift, if If you're feeling down, you need a little inspiration, it's a new message every week, and you'll be glad you did. So today, following the service around 11:30, the 20s and 30-somethings are going to meet downstairs in the teen room. So you can join Alex Hall down there and put your input in for the direction of that group. And I want to mention that the summer picnic is scheduled. We have a grill, we have grillers, and I've got 2 people who came forward to help us organize that. This is going to be a potluck picnic. We're going to provide the burgers, the veggie burgers, and the dogs, and all the condiments and drinks, and then you guys are going to bring the rest. So we're going to trust that you do that. We always have the right amount of food. We always have the perfect combination, so we're just going to know that in advance and welcome you to come and join us on Sunday the 17th, that's week after next, here in our garden. All right. New class with Reverend Lisa starts this Wednesday, 6:30 to 8:30. If you haven't registered yet, you can do so online. You can do so through the newsletter that you got in your email last Thursday. And if you didn't get that, please see me and we'll make sure you do. It's $15 a class. We are offering a discount if you pay in advance for all of the classes. We're going to try to do a hybrid with this class. Lisa is going to be here on Wednesday evenings in the chapel, meeting in person with anybody who wants to come. And then we'll also be Zooming anybody in who wants to participate in that way. So you have options. You have options. We just need to get you registered and get your name on the list. So make sure you go home and do that today. A couple of social justice issues I want to mention this morning. The Letters for Democracy is going to meet next Sunday following the service for letter writing. They typically meet in the chapel following the service. They're also taking donations of stamps to get those letters mailed out. So if that's a way you want to participate, we welcome you to join us in that way also. And this is also the last Sunday that you can sign the gun safety petitions. So I know there's a couple people here who have those. They'll be out in the lobby following the service. So at this time, we'd like to welcome anyone who's here with us for the first time. If you received a welcome packet when you came in, fantastic. If you didn't, raise your hand. Our ushers are coming forward with the packets, and they will be happy to present you with one. On the back, there is a card with a QR sticker on it, and you can either take a shot of that card and fill that out online for us so that we get you on the mailing list. Or if you're in our virtual family at home watching for the first time, welcome. And at this time, our streaming team will be putting this QR code up on your screen, and you too can take a snapshot of that and get on our mailing list. There's a little rose sticker on the front with some sticky on the back, and we want you to pin that to your lapel so we know who you are and can give you a proper welcome, and we invite you downstairs for coffee and connection following the service. So y'all have a great Sunday, and we'll see you after the service. Thank you.
Thank you, Beth. And we just want you to know, wherever you are on your spiritual journey, for all of those of you who are new, or haven't been here in a while, we honor, right where you are. Because every one of us is on a spiritual journey. We are all, whether we want to agree with it or not, sometimes I don't agree with it, we are in our perfect place at the perfect time to do the work we have somewhere in a soul level said yes to being a part of. And so for all of you who are new, we're so happy you're with us. I don't know what's happening with my voice, but it's good. Which my 20 and 22-year-olds were very glad I lost my voice for about 10 days. They were thrilled. They said it was the best thing about COVID ever. Even if they were sick, they were glad that I didn't have a voice. So, and that's our power center. But for those of you who are new in this community, we want you to know if this community works for you, we would love for you to become a part. One of the things that I believe we get to do, who was it? Gloria Steinem said, don't agonize, organize. And I realized that part of becoming a spiritual community and really looking at who we are and stepping forward in that truth is organizing. If this community doesn't work for you, I would encourage you to continue seeking. to find a place that does touch your heart and does remind you of who you are and who we all came to be. So we're happy to have you with us. The class that I am teaching is called Prayer, Principles, and Practice. And the idea is it's using Reverend Sydney's material from what she called Rock Your Word, but it's about, do we have the practices that allow us when we are pushed off of our center to move back into center? Do we have the ability to say, this is who I am, this is the truth? I was up at about 5 o'clock this morning doing that because somehow my heart just went way out over here, feeling discouraged and sad and a few other things. And then I got to go back to, wait a minute, what is the truth in me? What are the practices? What do I believe? How do I do that? So for each of us, I would encourage you, you don't have to take this class to get that, but I would encourage you to find a place where you can remember what these principles are and have the practices that allow us to live from that place. So we are happy to have all of you with us, and we are going to stand and sing. And Susan and Mark, thank you. And Sean, it's so good to have all of you with us, especially on a holiday weekend. We are grateful.
So we're going to start off by singing the first verse of We Let It Be, nice and slow and loud from your soul. We let the love wash over us. We let it be. I think you guys all know this. We let the love wash over us. We let it be. Let the love, we let the love wash over us. We let it be. Now the peace. We let the peace wash over us. We let it be. Now bring up the joy. We let the joy wash over us. We let it be. Back to the love. We let the love wash over us. We let it be. One more time with some love. We let the love wash over us. Here we go. We let it be.
Oh, yes. And I would just invite you to look around you and just welcome those around you, just with saying namaste. The divine in me greets the divine in you. Thank you so much. It's so good to have each of you with us today. You know, months ago, when I thought we wouldn't have heard from anyone else for a long time, I thought, is there someone I would like to hear from? And there actually was, and it's Reverend Nina Clark, who is here. I contacted one minister out of the area and said, are you ever in Portland? And she said, well, I'll be driving through on the 3rd of July. And I said, please, would you share your wisdom with us? And Reverend Nina is at Unity in Linwood. She has been a light to so many of us, and just the presence that she shares with all of us has touched me immensely. And so I am just very grateful to introduce Reverend Nina Clark, and she'll be doing both our meditation and our message. Would you just stand for a moment so we can welcome you into this community? So we are so grateful to have you here. And now, as we prepare for a time of meditation, one of the things that I know is that wisdom resides in the silence. There's an infinite presence and understanding that fills us if we allow ourselves to get quiet, open, and receptive. And so as you listen to this music, I just invite you to quiet your mind and open your heart.
I am here to give and receive love. I am here to give and receive. I am here to give and receive love. I am here to give and receive love, love. I am here to give and receive love.
Let's begin by taking a deep, slow breath, allowing that breath to gather us back to this moment. And another deep breath, exhaling slowly and with intention, allowing yourself to become as fully present as you are able to. And if they're not closed already, allow your outer eyes to close. And as they do, allow your inner eyes to open. And notice that you are standing at the edge of a forest. And in front of you is a flight of stairs going down into the earth. And there are sconces on the wall of the stairs that light up the stairs with a soft, welcoming glow. And there's a smooth wooden banister. Take one step down and just pause here on the first step. Breathe in, and as you breathe out, allow any tension to just flow out of you. And allow that to allow your body to relax. And take another step down and pause here and breathe in. And as you breathe out, allow any further tension to just flow out of you, leaving your body even a little more relaxed. And take another step down and pause here. Breathe in and breathe out. And with that breath out, allow any remaining tension to just flow out of your body, leaving your body that much more relaxed. And you feel easy and peaceful. Notice that you're standing on an earthen floor with a beautiful, ornate wooden door in front of you. You put your hand on the door handle and open the door. And on the other side is another forest, teeming with life. Go ahead and step through the door. There is a path in front of you. You follow it, hearing the soft pad of your feet on the forest floor. Breathe in the scent of pine and earth. And hear the sounds of the forest around you. Feel the breeze on your face. The path winds through the trees and then opens into a beautiful meadow. Make yourself comfortable here. You can sit or lie in the meadow grass, or you're magical. Conjure up a chair or a hammock or a cushion. And as you rest comfortably in the meadow, entertain the notion of being unconditionally present with everything. Meaning, don't label anything as good or bad. Just be with all of it, accepting all around you just as it is. Notice that nature isn't judging you. Nature is being unconditionally present with you. Be unconditionally present with the sounds you hear with your inner ear. Be unconditionally present with all that you see with your inner eyes. Be unconditionally present with all that you smell with your inner sense of smell. And as you settle into this sense of being unconditionally present with everything that is happening in your inner world, notice if any feelings are present there with you. Whatever they are, joy, contentment, anxiety, sadness, anger, be unconditionally present with them. Just allow them to be there. Be unconditionally present with whatever comes up without attempting to change it. This allows us to become more fully present, period. We're no longer not present to those parts of us which revealed themselves to us that make us uncomfortable. We are present to all that is, just as it is. And this helps us to integrate and to experience ourselves as whole. And now it is time to leave the meadow. Follow the winding path back through the trees to the beautiful, ornate wooden door. Put your hand on the door handle and open the door. You are back on the earthen floor with a flight of stairs going up in front of you, sconces on the wall of the stairs that light up the stairs with a soft, welcoming glow, and a smooth wooden banister. Take one step up and pause here. Breathe in and feel the sense of presence that you carry with you from your time in the meadow. And take another step up and just pause here. Breathe in and feel an even fuller sense of the wholeness of presence that you carry with you from your time in the meadow. And take one more step up and just pause here. Breathe in and feel an even fuller sense of the wholeness of presence that you carry with you from your time in the meadow. And you are now standing at the edge of the forest where you began. As you are ready, feel free to open your outer eyes, allowing the fullness of your sense of wholeness and presence to remain. And so it is.
In my freedom, I find connection. In my freedom, I find my breath. In my freedom, I find connection, and I find you in my air. In my freedom, I find connection. In my freedom, I find my breath. In my freedom, I find connection, and I find you in my air. So I free up my heart and connect with the love. Free up my mind and serenity's there. Free up my senses and I find myself. Free up my eyes to see. In my freedom, I find connection. In my freedom, oh, I find my breath. In my freedom, I find connection, and I find you in my air. So I free up my thoughts and connect with the bliss. Free up the fear and lay down in the peace. Free up the clutter and experience the space. Free up my soul to be. In my freedom, oh, I find connection. In my freedom, oh, I find my breath. In my freedom, I find connection, and I find you in my air. Ooh, ooh,
Thanks.
Thank you. Wow, you guys are blessed. That's awesome. Thank you. Good morning, Unity of Portland. Wow. It is an honor and a delight to be here with you. Thank you for inviting me to be here with your beautiful community. I always think that you all should take a turn standing up here every once in a while just to turn around and look at your beautiful selves. It's amazing. It really is amazing. You guys are glowing. So today I'm going to talk to you about unconditional love. And I'm going to begin with a post that a friend of mine posted on their Facebook page a while ago, and I'd like to start by reading it to you. And it says, "Dear human, you've got it all wrong. You didn't come here to master unconditional love. This is where you came from and where you'll return to. You came here to learn personal love, universal love, messy love, sweaty love, crazy love, broken love, whole love, infused with divinity, lived through the grace of stumbling, demonstrated through the beauty of messing up, often. You didn't come here to be perfect, you already are. You came here to be gorgeously human, flawed and fabulous, and rising again into remembering. But unconditional love, stop telling that story. Love and truth doesn't need any adjectives. It doesn't require modifiers. It doesn't require the condition of perfection. It only asks that you show up and do your best, that you stay present and feel fully, that you shine and fly and laugh and cry and hurt and heal and fall and get back up and play and work and live and die as you. It's enough. It's plenty. And that's by Courtney Walsh. So isn't that the kind of post that just grabs you? Well, at least it grabbed me, you know. Love doesn't need adjectives. Yeah. Messy love, broken love, crazy love. Yeah. Infused with divinity. Yes. Stay present and feel fully. Yes. Shine and laugh and cry. It just makes you want to add your little heart emoji, right? Or that huggy heart emoji, or to that growing list of approval. But as I went to add my heart to the list, something stopped me. I went back and read it again. You didn't come here to master unconditional love. And I read it again. But unconditional love stopped telling that story. And once more, love, doesn't require the condition of perfection. And there it was. Unconditional love is often thought, I believe, to be perfect love. And I think that many, if not most of us, do hold that connotation. I know I did when I gave it any thought. It's kind of one of those phrases that gets tossed around a lot, and I wonder if we don't just assume what it means. When I listen to others speak about unconditional love, it sounds similar to what I had thought, and it goes something like this. Unconditional love is something that God does and something we should aspire to. We should strive to love each other unconditionally. And it's kind of a global kind of love, a brotherly love, a kind of spiritual blanket of love, a general spread it all over the world kind of love. And we can unconditionally love a group of people or all of humanity, but at the same time, not really like them. It's not easy, and it's probably impossible for most of us as human beings. And to get it right, we have to be really high up the spiritual ladder, like Jesus or Buddha or the Dalai Lama or Thich Nhat Hanh. But is that true? And the thought rose up in me, maybe, just maybe, we misunderstand what unconditional love is. And then I thought, maybe, just maybe, I didn't really understand what unconditional love was. So I went and looked it up, and I found a lot of songs. But then Wikipedia had this to say: unconditional love is known as affection without limitations, or love without conditions. And this term is sometimes associated with other terms such as true altruism or complete love. And each area of expertise had a certain way of describing unconditional love, but most agreed that it's that type of love which has no bounds and is unchanging. In Christianity, the term unconditional love may be used to indicate God's love for a person, irrespective of that person's love for God. Our Yoruba priest wrote, God's love is unconditional, but God also has expectations and requirements. And if we don't meet those expectations and strive to fulfill those requirements, God doesn't stop loving us, but He's not happy. And He expects us to strive better, to do better next time. And I found a lot of articles with titles like, What It Means to Love Someone Unconditionally, with advice from people like licensed marriage and family therapist Elizabeth Earnshaw, who wrote that unconditional love is a weighty term for something that most of us don't really understand. I found it's often used to express a type of love that exists beyond bounds. And in the next article, the term unconditional love does not mean love without limits or bounds. It means I offer you my love freely without condition. It means that when we offer our love, we offer it without expectation of repayment. I found questions like, is unconditional love healthy? And some admonishments to be careful because unconditional love should have strong boundaries. I found advice from people like Stephen Post, president of the Institute for Research on Unlimited Love, who wrote that love isn't merely some altruistic action or duty. The unlimited type, especially, has to do with a real warmth that generally includes a sense of joy. Mother love is often associated with unconditional love. But another article is quick to point out that not all mothers love their children unconditionally. In fact, many of us spend years in therapy because of that. And finally, my search offered up the statement that unconditional love goes against human nature. It's a noble ideal, but it doesn't pass the reality test. Love requires reciprocity. So there's no wonder that there's confusion about what unconditional love is. But what if it's not that complicated? So let's break it down. Unconditional means without condition or without conditions. It means without an agenda, without trying to change it, without strings attached. Love. What is love anyway? We talk about it, we sing about it, we write poetry about it. Is it that warm, gushy feeling that we get in our hearts when we look at someone we love? Or that squeaky, high, warm fuzzy we get when we see a baby kitten, or a bunny, or a bird, or a baby anything? We say we love things like pizza, or a favorite pair of blue jeans. I read that love is a verb, something we do. It's active, not passive. I read that love is a noun. I read that love is profoundly tender, passionate affection for another person, or a feeling of warm personal attachment or deep affection, as for a parent, child, or friend, or sexual passion or desire. And I read that Sanskrit has an astounding 96 words for love. I also read that love is really just a bunch of chemicals floating around in our body systems. I read a lot of things that use the word love as though we should already know what it is. And I came away with more questions than answers. And I'm sure you have your ideas and or definitions of what love is and what unconditional love is. But if I may, since I'm standing up here this morning, I'd like to share with you where I am at with unconditional love at this juncture in my growth. And I'd like to open up to that by sharing with you something that happened when my grandmother made her transition. And I'm not going to paint the whole scene, although it was very serene, because I want to be careful to not trigger anybody. But at the moment my grandmother passed, it felt like the veil between this world and the other side either thinned or was parted. And this pure, amazing light or energy poured into the room towards my grandmother as she lay on her bed. And I was standing by her side holding her hand when this happened. And poured. The words are so hard here. I say it poured, but it was really just suddenly there. Thick and rich and bright. Pure presence. It was like the most fantabulous rush of all is absolutely perfectly well, and you are absolutely perfect, just the way that you are. It was like that which I truly am, me, became effortlessly, fully present, simply by being in the presence of this presence. And it was the most beautiful, power-filled, love-filled, joy-filled, peace-filled moment in my life. I had an experience, a felt experience of who I was. Not the identity that I had gathered as I lived this physical life, but a felt experience of what I was, what I am. Until recently, when I had thought about this experience, I called it a rush of unconditional love. But at this point in my evolution, I've come to call it unconditional presence. And for me, at least at this point, I believe they're the same thing. And we say it here in New Thought, don't we? There is just one life, one power, one presence, one love, and that oneness is God. Thus, God is presence. God is love. We teach that we are expressions or individuations of God, and thus, because God is presence, we are then expressions or individuations of presence. God is presence. God is love. Presence is love. We are presence. We are love. And in the experience of my grandmother's transition, this energy wasn't doing anything to me. I didn't feel like it was loving me or accepting me or even affirming me. It was just there, utterly and completely just there. And all of my protection, all of my shielding just melted away in a flash. And I had the experience of just being utterly present. And it was pure joy and pure delight. And maybe this is what love is. I don't know. No words really to describe, which might be why we can find just about every description that there is out there. It ended up being a felt experience. I was whole and fully present, and it lit me up with this crazy joy. But it arose out of my experience of being in this felt presence. And so maybe unconditional love is a felt experience of being unconditionally present, of being unconditionally presence without condition. And that's where I stand at the moment. And maybe it feels a little bit different for each one of us. But when we practice being gently and unconditionally with ourselves, just the way that we are, or with another, just the way that they are, or with life, just the way that it is, without judgment, without an agenda, just being with, we are being unconditionally presence. We are being love without condition. Divine? Yeah. And also so very human. We get to be unconditionally present with being human. And this sets us free. The Reverend Angel Kyoto Williams says that love is space. It is developing our own capacity for spaciousness within ourselves to allow others to be as they are. That is love. And that doesn't mean that we don't have hopes or wishes that things are changed or shifted, but that to come from a place of love is to be in acceptance of what is, even in the face of moving it towards something that is more whole, more just, more spacious for all of us. And this sounds to me like another way of saying being present with ourselves and with each other. I took a workshop called The Sacred Art of Listening years ago while at the Parliament of World Religions, and the presenter said that listening is so close to love that most people don't know the difference. And I would add to that saying that being heard is so close to feeling loved that most people can't distinguish the difference. And again, to me, this sounds like being unconditionally present with each other. Being present unconditionally feels like love because they are one and the same. So from the opening poem, you didn't come here to master unconditional love. But unconditional love, stop telling that story. You see, I think we did come here to master unconditional love in human form. But I think that maybe, just maybe, we've misunderstood what unconditional love is. Maybe unconditional love is being unconditionally present, unconditionally presence with messy love, broken love, crazy love. Michael Brown, in his book, The Presence Process, writes, one of the reasons we are given this life to live is so that we may discover what it means to love unconditionally. And when we engage in the felt aspect of our human condition without placing any conditions on doing so, we are practicing unconditional love toward ourselves. And by accomplishing this internally, we develop the capacity to be this way with everyone else. And then we can offer them the one abiding source of unconditional love, the ever-available embrace of our own conditionless and abiding inner presence. I think that in human form, unconditional love means that we practice being unconditionally present with what is. We don't resist it or judge it or try to change it. We just be with it without condition. And again, from Michael Brown, he says, our journey into uncovering the nature of this great mystery called love starts with being unconditional toward ourselves by feeling what we are authentically feeling without judging the experience in any way and without trying to fix, change, understand, heal, or transform it. And we are invited to appreciate our shared presence so that we may lovingly increase our awareness of it. And we are also invited to appreciate all the facets of presence's expressions. Through appreciation, we simultaneously increase our awareness of the attributes of our shared presence, peace, innocence, unconditional love, and being consciously unified with all that is. Whew. So what? That's one of my favorite spiritual questions. So what? So, Unity's fifth tenet is what? It's about putting legs on the work that we do. So let's take a look at how powerful unconditional presence is. Many of you have likely heard of Daryl Davis. He's an African-American man who was responsible for the resignation of 200 members of the KKK, including Roger Kelly, an imperial wizard of the KKK. And he never asked them to leave. He never tried to convince them to do so. In his TED Talk, Davis said, I wasn't there to fight him being Roger Kelly. I was there to learn from him. Where does this ideology come from? He kept his mind open, and he listened, and he respected Kelly as another human being, as a divine emanation. He was unconditionally present with Roger Kelly. He didn't judge him, he didn't resist him, he asked questions, and he listened. He didn't agree with their ideology. Listening does not mean he had to agree. But neither did he judge them as good or bad. He was just present with them as they were, and something in them shifted, and they walked away from hate. That is what unconditional love, unconditional presence looks like in practice. A Muslim woman, Dia Khan, a documentarian and the creator of 2 films, one called White Right, Meeting the Enemy, and the other, Jihad, a story of the others. And she was motivated to create these films because of the harassment that she was experiencing from both of these groups, so severe that the FBI told her to stay away from the windows of her house. She decided to face her fear by sitting down with her so-called adversaries, jihadists and white supremacists, in order to understand them. And the way she got through to them was by listening. Author and podcaster Simon Sinek calls what Khan does extreme listening. I remember earlier we saw how listening to someone can feel just like love to them. She is present without any other agenda other than understanding the people that hate her. And in her words, my creative decision was to try and operate out of empathy. And she didn't need to be perfect at it. She said, and I quote, I was actually very pessimistic when I began these projects. I just wanted to try something I had never tried before because, you see, she'd tried hating them back and being very angry and all of that. It wasn't working. She goes on, it was never a consideration or a possibility that what would happen would actually that what happened would actually happen, that any of them would like me, and that I would like them, and that they would call me friend. It wasn't easy, and not everyone was receptive to her, and there were times when she was terrified, but she just kept showing up as presence. And as a result of her work, people stepped away from their extremist affiliations. There was one life, one power, one presence, and presence is wisdom as well. And when we are unconditionally present with what is, without an agenda, getting our judgments and preferences out of the way, we make space for that capital W wisdom to do what it knows how to do. Ernest Holmes, in his book, Effective Prayer, writes that love overcomes both hate and fear. However, love does not overcome hate and fear through controversy, argument, or force, but by a subtle power of transformation, transmutation, and sublimation. It is invisible in its essence, but apparent through its act. As light overcomes the darkness, as the presence of heat causes the coolness of a room to change until it is warm and comfortable, so the radiant act of love and peace dissipates fear, hate, and confusion. He goes on to say, love is the victor in every case. Love breaks down the iron bars of thought, shatters the walls of material belief, severs the chain of bondage which thought has imposed, and sets the captive free. And if by love we mean unconditional presence, what I hear Holmes saying is by being unconditionally present, the iron bars of thought are broken down and the captive is set free. And I think these two stories of Daryl Davis and Dia Khan illustrate that fact. By being present, by being presence, without judgment, without judgment and agenda, love and wisdom did what love and wisdom know how to do. Does all this seem too simple? I don't think it is. But I think we might dismiss it as such and never really give it a chance. And truly, it might sound simple, but being present with someone that we deeply disagree with is not easy. But every time that I have practiced it in my own life, I have been astonished at what emerges. Reverend Edward Viljoen, head of Centers for Spiritual Living, said during his March 8th morning devotional, on the surface, our teaching can look like it's about positive thinking, but it goes much deeper than that. Our teaching is about intentional, conscious, present awareness living. We are the hands. We are the hearts. We are the voice of spirit in this world. And we can only do that when we embrace and are present with reality. Present without condition. Presence without condition. Thank you.
Reverend Nina, thank you. Thank you, thank you. Wow. What a powerful thought and idea, and I'm fascinated how the universe works. In just a moment, we're gonna have this time of generosity and receive these tithes and love offerings and things, and the order with which life works. The next 3 weeks, we're gonna spend looking at a process called presencing. And I was thinking this morning, I wonder how I introduce that and how we're going to walk into it. And it's just fascinating what I'm hearing, because we're being called to presence. And what Otto Scharmer says is that the universe already has, the future is available. And by presencing, instead of absencing with fear or anger or hurt, we have the ability to listen to this message and to be one of the many, many channels of humanity. And he calls it presencing. So we will be walking in to presencing. And I thank you for your words of wisdom, because I know right now, every day, I know the call is to presence. And it's so easy to think, oh, how do I do that? And the realization that as we come together this morning, whether you're in our virtual family or you're in this room, remembering that we are never alone. We are one, and we are humanity being called as presence, with presence through all. And so as we hold our gifts, our love offerings in our hands, and many of you do this electronically, and I know we've got the wonderful numbers up here. They're also in the backs of your seats. And just, we invite you this summer to be a part of the automatic giving and some of the pieces that allow this community to continue sharing what we share. But our blessing is always divine love as me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. It's an affirmation of knowing that divine love is who we are, and that presence lives as us this moment. And so it is. Amen.
Gentle as a rose, and love can conquer any war. It's time to take a stand. Brothers and sisters, join hands. We've got to let love rule. Space and time, and love can make a little child smile. Can't you see? This won't go wrong, but we gotta be strong. We can't do it alone. We've got to let love rule. Let love rule. We've got to let love rule. Let love rule. Sing with us, yeah. Let
Yes, thank you. Come on. And we have some special gifts to share with us, our Uniteens. Thank you all for being willing to come in. We are so grateful that you are here. Thank you, God. And you all just got back from your retreats just recently, didn't you? Would you guys like to share anything?
Hello, my name is Vivian, and it was my first time going to Unitry, and it was really fun. Everyone was really nice, and I had a great time.
I'm Liliana. We're sisters, and this was my last time going to Unitreat. I was only able to go there twice because of COVID, but when me and all the other kids, our own little group, we were all in our own little room, I was sitting there and I was like, wow, this is really awkward. I don't know if this is going to be much fun. And everyone just kind of looked at each other like, turns out I was incredibly wrong. It was actually very fun. We made a song, we went on the low ropes course, and I believe 99% of the time I was laughing. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Krista and Lucas, we have wonderful, wonderful Unity sponsors. Do you all want to share anything at all? I know. We are fortunate. Just so you know, the teen programs, both Uniteens, and that means you get to go to YOU this fall. Yes, she will be going up into our high school age group. They are based on unconditional love and acceptance to a point that many people who have not been have never experienced. And what I love is seeing the adults go and come home sobbing because they were unconditionally loved and accepted for the first time. And the youth, of course, do it so easily and just gracefully. It's just an amazing process. So we wanted to share some of that with you. Thank you all for doing that. And we are going to stand and we get to sing Let There Be Peace on Earth, because the large intention is still, and please don't stand if it doesn't feel comfortable, but the large intention, our intention, is to find that place of peace and be that peace.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be, with God as creator, family all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow, to take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
Yes, let there be peace on earth and let it begin with me. Our prayer chaplains will be here to pray with you. We'd invite you to join us downstairs, because as we connect, we remember who we are. We're going to close with our unity prayer. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Thank you, God.
I'm gonna move to the light. I'm gonna speak of the light. I'm gonna sing with the light. I'm gonna dance in the light. When I choose to remember that Spirit is all, I rejoice and give praise and shout.